right. Welcome everybody to episode 7 of Masks of Nyarlathotep. We are leaving off from, you were at Carlton Ramsey's office, and he had been talking to you about Jackson's will, and you promising to pick up where he left off, which is not going to be easy apparently because he was not very communicative to any of you about what he had been doing. If you want, we can pick up with you having left Ramsey's office, or if you had anything else to do there, we could pick back up there. I think we were done there, but that's kind of your call because we didn't actually leave. Oh, and for our listeners, Doc is unavailable tonight, so I'll be running solo.
I think we just got the folder. I think with some information in it.
It was basically a summarization of everything he told you about the will and the arrangement. It's not new information. It's really just he kind of summarized it for you, and then the main thing being that he has left a fund to be administered by Ramsey himself of $50,000. Not that you really need that $50,000 with Thaddeus's purse strings, you know, kind of, but it's available. So that is the main thing. So
I'm guessing we could probably move on from there.
Yeah, I would assume that we were getting ready to leave.
Okay. Where to now, Mr. Pepin?
I know that
on this fine Sunday, or sorry, it's Monday now. On this fine Monday, really, it'd be. I think you guys went there sort of in the morning, and so I'm gonna say maybe it's lunchtime, and then you've got the afternoon. So maybe.
I know maybe we should go by to see Jonah Kensington at the Prospero house. He might have some more information.
Yes, that, and maybe finally finding the import company would be open today.
Yes,
We don't have to break in.
Yes, I do not know if your lockpicks will work again, Benjamin.
Well, we can always try this again if you would really like to.
I am not one for B&Es.
Yes, I'd like to remain not a criminal if I can help it.
A worthy goal.
However, didn't Jonah say to stop by us?
Yes, that's why I mentioned it.
Okay, I don't remember if we had time to meet him or not.
No, I just let him know that after we met with Mr. Ramsey, we would be over. He said he would be there at the Prospero house today.
Well, should we try to import business, see if it's open? If not, go ahead to Jonah.
Sounds good. Maybe hopefully they will not have questions of us about why their door was open.
And he'll look over.
Yeah, I'll look pointedly at Benjamin. Probably at the same time.
I don't know what you're talking about. This is not something that I'm familiar with.
Well, at least you know where to get an attorney if you need one. So I guess we should go. So are we already outside? Or are we just kind of in the building still?
I kind of assumed you guys were walking out, and you know, Frank gets you in the car and then does his usual kind of circling around. So.
Okay. So, hey Frank, do you think you could take us back to Emerson Imports?
You you see him almost imperceptibly give a little smirk, and says, "Right away, Mr. Pepin," and starts heading over there.
Excellent. Thank you. Well, I'm not sure what we can gain from going in there, but maybe, like I said, if this is a picture of one of the cargo ships, it might be able to give us some information. If not, maybe they might be someone some knowledge there about ships.
Yes.
Yes, I think at least if someone knows of what the actual ship name is, that is a very good starting point, and that then we will be able to do much more research and follow up on this at a later date, perhaps.
Maybe find out exactly what they were importing and why this was such an issue.
Okay, you head over there. It is Monday early afternoon. I assume you grabbed a little bite to eat before going there. So
One cup of vodka.
just one cup?
Yeah.
Don't you mean a bottle?
No, it's lunchtime.
Oh, you're very good. You're very good. I'm impressed. Yeah, so you guys go over there. It's definitely a very different scene on a Monday midday. The area is very busy with trucks going in and out. You can see even from where you are the wharf. There's a wharf not far from the import office, and you can see that's lively as well. You see people moving about there, and so Frank pulls up and stops the car, and he says, "Will you be needing me, Mr. Pepin?"
I'm unsure yet.
As he opens the door, he says, "Well, I'll just be standing by the car if you need me."
I'll be sure to holler if there's anything going on. As he's looking around, it's not the best looking area. And
Yeah,
straightens his
holla. Yeah, it doesn't look that dangerous. This isn't a great part of town, but it's also it doesn't look like it's you know, really awful either. Especially during the day, it looks like there's just a lot of busy people. Of course, they are low-life commoners that Thaddeus would not ordinarily rub shoulders with, but but to Benjamin and Natalia, they don't look that dangerous.
Should we go and see if they're open? I mean, we already know they're open, but
Yeah. Yes, might as well see if we can legally enter the premises now.
Okay. You go to that same door then, I assume, and do you knock or just go in?
Natalia knocks gently on the door.
You hear a voice say, "Yeah, come in."
After you, Thaddeus, Benjamin.
Thaddeus will open the door and kind of let out a little smirk as he does so.
Yep. There is a, the office is as you remember it. It looks pretty much the same. It does look like there's a few more papers in a slightly disorganized fashion on the desk, so clearly some work has been going on here. But nothing looks particularly untoward, and this man is there, and he appears to be in conversation with someone who's probably a warehouse worker or something, and he's he's going over a clipboard with him, and he kind of glances over and kind of puts his finger up like a wait a minute kind of motion, and he's just pointing out some stuff that he wants to prioritize for packing up. And the guy just kind of and then takes the clipboard and goes through the back door of the office, which you can see when he opens it. You hear sounds of a warehouse with. It's not super busy, but there's definitely some people in there working. And Emerson introduces himself. He says, "Hi, I'm Arthur Emerson." He looks at the three of you and naturally kind of puts his hand out to Thaddeus.
Thaddeus will smile and shake his hand a little eagerly. Good day, man.
He gives the three. He's looking at the three of you like a sort of appraising kind of look. You know, like he's quickly trying to figure you out.
Good afternoon. My name is Thaddeus. How are you today?
Mr. Thaddeus, a pleasure to meet you. Little busy at the moment, but that's always good. And he smiles. And
Thaddeus will smile back.
Says, "What can I help you with?"
Well, I got a few questions that I'm hoping that you may be able to answer. And he knows where Benjamin and Talia.
He says, "Well, if I can answer them, I'd be happy to."
Well, I'm looking for a man by the name of Silas.
Silas? There's no Silas that works here. And he just kind of looks at you. He says, "Are you interested in shipping something, or?"
Well, me not personally, but maybe my company at some point may be able to go through you with some business. But I'm also, because I got a business card of yours, and he'll flash the business card.
Okay. Yeah, he reaches out to take it.
And on the back there's a name written down.
He looks at that. He says, "Well, this is definitely my business card, but that's not my handwriting."
Ah. Okay. Well, what kind of stuff do you import and export?
He says, "Do you have business with Mr. Nakwane?"
Well, not as of yet. Hoping to.
Really? Are you a collector of some kind?
Well, you could say that, and you have another smile. Do you know of this man?
He says he's one of my regular customers.
Ah, excellent. And he'll kind of look around again. I know this may seem kind of peculiar, but I was hoping to call on him.
Well, he doesn't work here. He runs a little. I call it a knick-knack shop. I think he would probably call it a house of antiquities or some such fancy name. I'm guessing, but it's all African paraphernalia, memorabilia. Frankly, I think most of it's well. He just kind of smiles and trails off.
I can understand that. I have a small collection, nothing from Africa though. Does he ship a lot through here?
I wouldn't say a lot, but he does import from Africa through my office.
Ah. Do you know if he had anything recently come in?
He kind of cocks his head a little and he says, "Can I ask you why you're so interested in Mr. Nakwane's business practices?" I just say because I'm not really in the practice of sharing my clients' information, especially to people I don't know.
That is a smile and give a little chuckle. That's understandable. I don't mean to make it look like that. Yeah. I'm trying to learn about his product. I was just wondering if he's gotten anything recently. I have an acquaintance that was a friend of mine, and he's not around right now to ask these questions to. So that's why I was kind of wondering, because I want to speak to him. And then he'll shuffle to his pocket and then pull out the picture of the boats.
Mm-hmm.
Does this look anything familiar to you?
He takes the picture and he says, "Should it look familiar to me? I'm not sure what I'm looking at. It looks like some kind of freighter of some kind and some kind of Asian style junk ships or something."
No, I was just wondering if you recognize the ship at all, the freighter ship. So that is a freighter ship?
He takes a closer look at it. He says,
Asian style? Just kind of
no,
interrupt.
the ship that ship right here. He kind of points to the ship in the foreground. He says that's definitely one of them Japanese or Chinese things. I think they call them junks. That ship in the back there, yeah, kind of hard to tell, really. Might be a passenger ship, but if it is, it's pretty small for a passenger ship. I'd say it's some kind of cargo ship, but
Are you familiar with the types of ships? Do you know what kind of ship that is?
I'm not really. I don't really worry too much about that. I'm not. But I know people who are very competent at that sort of thing. I'm more a logistics man myself.
Okay.
Who would these people who are more competent in knowing these types of ships be, if you don't mind me asking?
He said, "Well, these are sort of in the nature of trade secrets, if you know what I mean. I'm not in the habit of giving out my contacts and business connections for free." He says, if you'd like to arrange a business meeting, I can set one up."
That is a smile. A business meeting, you say?
He says, "Well, I don't want to waste anyone's time. These are busy people. If they don't think that there's some arrangement to come out of it, they're probably not going to be too interested in shooting the breeze, if you know what I mean."
Indeed. Well, perhaps we should set up a business meeting for one of these days coming up.
I can do that. You mentioned that you might have some business for us.
Yes. Not at the present time, but I definitely would like to know more about the import-export business and what I can acquire from it.
And what firm are you representing, sir?
I'm kind of representing myself right now. I guess I could go a further introduction. My last name is Pepin. Thaddeus Pepin.
He hold on one second. Yeah, he he kind of blinks like the name doesn't mean anything to him, which probably hurts you immensely because, as far as you're concerned, you're a household name on the lips of every New Yorker. But certainly anyone in business should know your name.
I can see that I'm not known in your circles. Well, anyways.
He says, well, I don't pretend to know everybody in the business world. He says, what line of work are you, what kind of business are you in?
Well, I'm a hobbyist of sorts. However, my company is it's totally different. It's
you can see him kind of nod his head, probably a little impatiently, like as soon as you said a hobbyist, he's just kind of like you can tell immediately he's now lost interest.
Thaddeus will reach inside and grab one of his contact cards. I'll just tell you what, if you could set up the meeting, it'll be worth your time. And he'll hand him the card. Okay. And maybe your friend might know who I am, and maybe he might want to meet with me. Okay.
Why don't you make a credit rating check for me? Again, gonna be really tough. But
yeah, boys.
But we want to see how well you do, really. Oh, Jesus very Christ. Nice, hard. Okay. So you can see that he looks at the business card and maybe his opinion changed a little bit, but he says, yeah, sure, I'll do that, and he tucks the card in his inside jacket pocket.
Sooner better than later.
All right, all right. I'll be in touch.
Thank you.
Yeah, is there anything else I can do for you, he starts to say gentlemen, and he looks at Natalia and says, for any of you today?
Benjamin will put on a very, very friendly smile, and he approaches with his hand out. I'm so sorry to interject. I'm Benjamin Wagner, and you see, the reason why we're down here is, as Mr. Thaddeus has explained.
Let me just interrupt you right there. I'm kind of a busy guy, okay? That was kind of my way of saying goodbye. Sorry. And he just kind of smiles.
Well,
he goes, but he points at that. He says, but I will get back to you about that meeting.
Appreciate it.
Benjamin will put his card back in his vest.
Thank you.
And when you walk, you hear him kind of mutter to himself, "Fucking kraut."
Aha! Oh.
Nothing Benjamin isn't used to.
And Thaddeus would kind of, hearing the crowd, kind of, when he's talking about his friend, loses the little smile he had, and well, I'll say, what a rude gentleman that was, Benjamin.
Yes, well, this is not the first time that I have dealt with such a person or encountered such bigotry. This is something I deal with in this state. Even though I have lived here for almost all of my life.
Yeah, Frank just holds the door for you.
Frank, remind me later not to do business with this gentleman.
As you say.
Not very nice.
As Benjamin is walking out, he looks at Frank. Thank you, Frank. You are so very kind.
And he closes the door behind the three of you and gets in. And where to now, Mr. Pepin?
Natalia, I believe you know where,
Yes. And Natalia will start giving off directions towards Prospero House.
Oh, yeah, it's just right across town. You guys are currently there. Number 10 is Emerson Imports, and number 14 is Prospero House. So it's just a straight shot and over. That's gonna burn it down. Yeah. Just like a kraut. Alright. So yeah, you guys drive over there. And so now it's a little after 2. I'd probably say about 2:30 when you arrive. And Prospero House is not a very big publishing house. You can tell it's probably consists from what you can see from the outside. It probably consists of 1 or 2 offices and then a main room. So it can't be that gigantic. But you already know that, Natalia. It's sort of a small specialty publishing house.
Natalia will take point in kind of leading everyone inside.
Okay.
But when they get there, she'll sort of gently knock on the kind of office door.
Yep. Yeah, you can just walk right into the main office, the main room, and then it's Jonah's office. He has the one of the 2 offices in the building, on the floor. And so you can see he has like 5 people that work for him in the main room, mostly junior editors and a secretary. And the secretary, Daisy, looks up and says, Natalia.
Good afternoon, Daisy.
She said, go right in, he's probably napping.
Oh, thank you. And she'll give her a little smile before making her way into Jonah's office.
Mm-hmm. And you go in, and sure enough, it looks like he may have been kind of dozing at his chair in the office, but if he was, he very quickly looks up. He had just a momentary befuddled look on his face, and then he recognizes you, and he smiles, Natalia, and he gets up and rises and comes over and takes your hands in his familiar gesture and pats them and says, come on in, you brought your friends. And you're not sure if he's, when he says it that way, you're sure maybe he was hoping it was just you.
Yes, we are all pretty much, you say, attached together?
Yeah, well, make yourself comfortable wherever you can find a seat. But he holds the one chair out for you, Natalia.
She'll take a seat in it, of course.
Yep. And then he goes and shuts the door and says, how have you been?
It's been difficult, Jonah.
Oh, of course it has. Of course it has, my dear.
We received the last request from Jackson.
Oh, he had a last request. Wow.
Yes.
I won't pry. I won't pry.
I would like, as I was bringing up yesterday, about his writings that he might have submitted to you, or anything you might have known.
I'm sorry. I missed that whole. You said he had a last request.
Yes.
So he knew he might be in trouble.
He seemed to almost expect it.
He just kind of nods. Maybe I should have listened.
What do you mean?
He seemed a little paranoid, and I don't know. As time went on, he seemed more and more. I don't know. He wasn't his usual self. You know, usually very confident, usually full of energy and certainty. And I don't know. He was different. And when he came by, when he got back to New York, and he wouldn't even stay and talk for very long. He just seemed all businesslike and frantic, and before he left, he looked out the window like he maybe expected there was somebody out there. I don't know. He was behaving very strangely. I just thought maybe he had, wasn't getting enough sleep or something, but I don't know.
What were the telegrams? What led you to believe about his franticness?
I mean, he's a very learned man. He knows how to write very well, and he always puts sentences together. That's one of the things I love about him. I don't have to spend my whole time, dotting I's and correcting his poor spelling. He's a good writer. But I don't know. It just, his sentences were fragmentary. He seemed like he wrote like he was a man that had been up for like maybe 48 hours straight without sleep. You know what I'm saying? That was kind of his style of writing. I thought maybe it was just, a strange thing, but, a one-time thing, but it didn't seem like that in the end. When he came back, it was frankly very, very upsetting.
Yes. Where exactly was Jackson?
Oh my gosh, he went everywhere. I mean, he went to China first. I don't know why. He never told me why. But he went to China. He went to Africa. I think it was Kenya. He went to Kenya. He went to Egypt, and then to England, and then back here. At least that's what I can put together. That was in the space of maybe a little less than a year.
Less than a year.
Well, not much less. I think he left last January. I'd have to look that up, but I'm pretty sure he left late January last year and just got back, what was it? She's like a week ago. It's only a week ago? Seems like forever.
Yes. It's disappointing that I'm saddened that I did not get to see him before everything.
No, I didn't even think of that. I'm sorry. Yeah, you didn't even get to see him. I'm so sorry about that.
Well,
You poor thing.
thank you, Jonah. But he wanted us to continue looking into what he was researching.
Did he now? Okay.
Yes. Do you happen to have any, besides the telegrams, any writings from him?
Yeah, I don't even think I saved the telegrams, but I definitely have a few things from him. I'm sure I filed them away. Daisy! And he kind of yells, and she doesn't apparently hear him, and he, yeah, Daisy! And she just yells through the door, what? And he says, he gets up and opens the door, and he says, "When I call you, you open the door. Be civilized." He says, "I need Jackson Elias's file." And she looks like she was maybe about to give a wisecrack back, and when he says Jackson Elias, she just kind of, shuts up real quick and just says, right away, Mr. Kensington," and she kind of goes off to a filing cabinet and looks through it, and Jonah just kind of shuffles back to his chair, and just kind of awkwardly fiddles with his thumbs, looking at you, kind of half smiling. And then Daisy comes in with the file, and she kind of glances at the three of you and puts it down on the table, and kind of without a word she goes, and she's about to close the door, and she says, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Can I get any of you some coffee or something?"
Maybe just water at this point. Thank you, Daisy.
"Water it is." And she closes the door. "Nothing for you boys, sorry."
No, I think that the water would be quite lovely right now, actually.
Water. All right, I'll bring you the water too. And she just, and closes the door. So Kensington opens the file, and he says, "I know they're in here." He says, "Most of these are, of course, some old like drafts from books and stuff. Let's see. Here, you see him go. Here we are. Oh, yeah. You can make a psychology check for me, Natalia." Oh, did we lose Sim?
We did.
Oh no!
Oh no.
Oh no! All right.
We
Well, no one needs him anyway. He's just a rich bastard. All right. So, you notice he looked at a couple of like handwritten notes, and like he was about to pull them out, and looked at them again, and he puts them back in, and then kind of keeps going. He kind of frowns and keeps going. And
I will stop him.
And he says, "Oh yeah, here's the letter. He wrote this one from Kenya," and he hands it over to you.
So I'll read it over. This Carlisle expedition. Do you know exactly what he means by it?
What he means by it? He was pretty keen about that expedition. I think that's sort of what he was trying to follow up on in this whole crazy world jaunt he did. He said, I looked into the expedition briefly when he told me about it. It seemed like, frankly, a non-starter to me, but he is convinced that the expedition wasn't completely wiped out. He told me he had information that at least one of the members of that expedition was still alive, which was not what the authorities reported. He says, I can just tell you the short of it. From what I know, it was I don't remember. I think it was something like 5 or 6 years ago. There was some rich guy in town, Carlisle. He got together some other rich bored people, and went over to Europe, and then to Egypt on some sort of excavation, archaeological dig kind of thing. Very amateur. And they went on vacation on safari in Kenya, and they were attacked by wild animals and torn to shreds or something. A pretty horrible end. At least that's what they thought at first. The official was I think there was some local tribe was blamed for. It turned out maybe they accused them of murder, and they tried some of them. But the short of it is the expedition was wiped out. And that was that's all I could find out about it. I didn't, I mean, it was kind of sensational at the time. I'm sure you can find some newspaper articles about it, but I didn't really see what the angle was there. But apparently he had some information.
Going through kind of Natalia's memory banks, because she's read Jackson's books before, even before meeting him.
Yes.
It sounds very familiar, at least to the connection of the book that he wrote about the death cults. And what happened in Peru, amateur expedition. The same thing with the Carlisle expedition. And she looks at Jonah. When did the Carlisle expedition take place?
That's what I said. I think it was 5 or 6 years ago. I'd have to look it up. I honestly don't remember.
What were they based out of? Or where was this Carlisle based out of?
Oh, he was a New Yorker.
And she'll look over.
Thaddeus. Did we lose Thaddeus?
Is Thaddeus still here?
Yeah, Thaddeus is still not back.
Maybe we should.
Yeah,
it's getting a bit important.
Thaddeus may have heard of Richard Carlisle, because he was another rich New York guy.
Where did Larkin come from?
Larkin came from Kenya. Let's see. I'm gonna do a credit rating check for him. He got a success, but not a hard success. So, Thaddeus had definitely heard of Richard Carlisle, and he also he would remember the very general scuttlebutt. The little he would know of Carlisle is that he had he inherited a huge fortune and a business from his father, but he was kind of a playboy. He had a reputation as someone who, was very frivolous, and but he didn't really personally know him.
We need to. I'm just gonna look back at Benjamin and Thaddeus. Almost like she's kind of getting an idea. Ashton was here. We need to figure out if there's been any more expeditions like this, kind of the same motive. The rich people inheriting money from their parents, suddenly getting inspired to go on amateur expeditions to Kenya, to Egypt, to Peru. She'll look back at Jonah.
He says, I think I see where you're going with this. Yeah, I remember he was telling me about this Larkin character. Quite a strange fellow, from what he.
Jonah, do you mind? I will return it post haste, of course, if I take this file, and I know it's some edits and such, maybe of his old books. Do you mind if I go through it and read it? Especially if there's any other information maybe that you didn't want.
You can make a persuade check. I will give you 1 bonus die owing to your kind of closeness to him, and he does like you, and but you can see the reluctance on his face to do that.
Okay.
You succeed with the 1 bonus die. And yeah, hard is good. If you'd just gotten a success, it would have been a little bit, maybe some conditions or something. But yeah, you could see the hesitancy on his face, and he says, "Well, I suppose there's no great harm in letting you look. You knew him as well as anybody, I suppose." He
Jonah.
he says, I do want to ask one favor of you, though.
Of course.
He
Anything.
says this, you can't show this to anybody else. You understand
Of course
that?
not.
And he looks
Fully.
at Benjamin, and he actually gets up from his desk and kind of comes around and puts his finger right in Benjamin's face. And he says, "And you, Mr. Reporter, I don't want you writing anything about what's in that folder. You understand me? It could reflect very poorly on Prospero House, and I'm not interested in a bad reputation. Not that we did anything wrong, but I think," he looks at Natalia, he says, Jackson seemed kind of crazy at the end there. I'll be quite frank with you. Some of the things he wrote didn't make a lot of sense. They're not the writings of a sane, rational man who has his wits about him, and I can't afford to have get out that I had one of my best writers was a crazy man. You understand that? Now, I don't think he was truly crazy, but you know how these things can get blown out of proportion.
Of course. I would never shine any ill light on Jackson.
He says, I have your word, Mr. Benjamin.
Of course you have my word. This is some things that I would not do to a friend of mine.
All right. He says, okay then. And he just kind of turns his hunched back and walks back to his desk and sits down and hands you the folder.
Natalia takes the folder and nods her head. Thank you so much, Jonah. I feel like whatever in this, what he's written, maybe if we put everything together, we can find out exactly what happened to Jackson and why. And who.
Well, I hope if you do find out why, there's some good that comes of it. Sometimes finding out things, some things are not meant to be found out. You know what I'm saying?
I understand.
But anyway, good luck, and I wish you well. He says, I'm here to help you in any way I can. If I think of anything, I'll tell you. If there's anything you want to ask, I'll tell you. And of course, if you just need to sit down and talk, Natalia, anytime you can come and see me. I'm happy to talk.
Yes, I have many people who talk to me, but it is nice to be able to talk with someone.
Not everybody's as nice as me.
That is true. No offense, Benjamin, Thaddeus. Not referring to
Don't
you.
worry about offending them. They deserve it.
And Natalia seems to be, especially based on kind of this new information that I've gotten, it's almost more focused than she has been in the last few days. And she'll kind of get up from her seat and
Okay.
putting down the folder first, extending both her hands to take Jonah's.
Okay.
Thank you.
He just gives your hands a little shake, and he he takes one hand and puts it on your shoulder and he says, "I'm very serious about that. If you need anything, Natalia, I am here for you. Jackson was like family, and I know he cared for you, and so I care for you."
Thank you, Jonah. And once I do come with something, I will remind you exactly of what you said now.
And he turns to the two and he says, "And you two don't need my help, so you guys can just move along."
Indeed.
With that, Natalia will take the folder and bid Jonah a good day, leading the other two out, unless they have anything else to ask.
Nope, Thaddeus will stand up and get ready to follow.
Okay. Very good. All right then. You leave the office.
We should maybe, as they're walking down to the car.
He doesn't seem to hate you because you're German, Benjamin. You're a reporter. He's just worried you're always gonna. Yeah. He doesn't hate you yet. Give him a couple decades, and then he might.
He'll be just dead tired.
Yeah. All right. So you head back outside, and Daisy just says, "You three have a good day," and she says, "And Natalia, I'm very, very sorry for your loss. It's been a hard time around here. You can imagine."
I understand. Thank you, Daisy. Make sure Jonah's taking care of himself, all right?
He doesn't take care of himself. That's why he has me. I take care of him.
Well, you're good at your job.
And she says, "Well, if you need anything, you let me know."
Of course. She'll give her another smile before giving a bit of a wave and heading out back to the car.
All right. Frank awaits you outside.
Well, maybe we should go to that knick-knack shop.
Yes, I think that would be a good idea to follow up on. How did you say his name? It was
Silas.
Mr. Nkwan.
Nakwan, I think.
That sounds good to me.
Yes.
Well, that may be a little difficult since you don't know what the name of the shop is.
That is affirmative.
Way to go, Thaddeus, and of course he hated me.
He didn't hate you till you opened your mouth.
Maybe we should inquire around.
Well, I was thinking that if we can gain access to the phone, we could use the operator to get us the phone number for where he listed that.
Sounds good.
Just I don't know where we could find the phone.
Your home?
If you want to go all the way back there.
I can maybe put these papers in a safe. No, I will keep these papers with me, just in case.
You could do that, I suppose.
I seem to remember that Jonah was talking about the scribblings of a madman, perhaps. That sounds so very familiar to me. If you remember, some of the books and the writings that we came across while we were in Peru, they started to also become more of a raving type. May it be worthwhile to at least compare?
The writings?
Perhaps, because you never know. Maybe this was also affecting L. Jackson.
Maybe. I just think that there's also some sort of tie between people who have come into money from parents who have died or something, and going on these expeditions, especially in these, what is it? China, Africa, Egypt, Kenya, England. That area we need to research, see what we can pull up, especially since the Carlisle thing happened, what, 5 years ago? Year before Peru? I don't think it is a coincidence that, what is it, Jackson was working on the Death Cult book, was finished, and he mentioned that this was similar, what happened in Peru. I don't want to sound crazy, but I think maybe what happened to us in the pyramids, I don't know if it's isolated. You know what I mean?
This is true.
I know
What?
it's a speculation, but I
Well,
just have this feeling.
speculation is all we got right now. Perhaps instead of just going to the house, since you don't want to put them in the safe yet, we could just go to my company office. I believe I have a phone there.
Perfect.
I'm sure you do.
Hey Frank, will you take us to the office?
Of course, sir. And he takes you across. And where would your office be? Lower Manhattan, probably?
Yeah, I would imagine so.
All right. There you go. We'll head on down that way. Yeah. Okay, so he heads down Broadway and to your offices. And when you walk in, there's quite a stir. People are not used to you showing up at the office. Like, you haven't been in the office for months now, because you've been, kind of obsessed with your research and that, and you most of your business has been handled through proxies. They'll come to your estate and spend an hour or two a day with you, typically going over matters and that need your decision and input, and then taking it back to the office with them. So you showing up is like everyone's like falling over themselves to open doors for you and get you coffee, and you can see that in your absence people maybe have gotten a little more casual, and they're embarrassed and kind of straightening things up, and you're causing quite the stir.
There's a kind of smile at seeing everybody move around. Yeah, look over. There's two friends. They know that I pay a little attention as I walk through here most of the time. I wouldn't even know if something was out of place.
Yeah. Yes, their panic is probably for nothing, but they don't know that. Mr. Pepin, oh, it's Mr. Pepin. Look at Mr. Pepin.
Ah, you finally get the recognition that you so desire, Mr. Thaddeus.
Yes. This is the upper crust area, I would assume. Not where Mr. Emerson is from. He's still steaming about it.
Yeah. There, you pass an employee's desk whose last name happens to be Emerson, and you just fire him on the spot.
Yeah.
But
Pack your stuff. I don't want to
Mr. Pepin. Yeah. All right. So you are led back to your plush office, and Of course, your personal secretary, who hasn't seen you in a while, she's all happy to see you. We'll call her Mabel, and so yeah, we'll just be we'll be what's the word I'm looking for? Stereotypical. You've got your Mabel, and she's she just adores you. She just thinks you are brilliant and witty. So you definitely keep her around. And she just says, "Oh, you can't imagine what a pleasure it is to have you in the office, Mr. Pepin." And she says, "What can I do for you?"
Well, I mean, we gotta hold off on all the visits from everybody who might know I'm here. In the first place, I have some business to take care of. And second, I could use your aid with some things.
I'd be delighted.
If you have the moment.
And she says, "First, can I get you and your guests anything to drink or eat?"
Yes, food and scotch. I think that's what the day calls for.
Right away, sir. Unless there's
And
something more
vodka.
urgent, of course.
And vodka. No, this is the first priority right now. We need to
A
settle.
good start. I agree, Mr. Pepin. I'll be right back.
I should like a nice glass of tea. I think that would be very good.
She says, sweetened or unsweetened? Do you like it with your sugar or not?
But today I think that I'm being feeling very sour, so I think that just unsweet tea would be okay.
You sure you wouldn't want some sugar to sweeten up your disposition then? And she says, I'm just kidding. And she says, unsweetened it is. And she says, we'll get right on it, Mr. Pepin. And she goes out.
And Mr. Pepin will lead everybody into his comfortable area of his office.
This is a very beautiful office, Thaddeus.
Yes, I don't get in here that much, as you can tell. I've been too busy of late.
Mm.
His office looks surprisingly like his study at home. It's so strange.
And the symbol is still here.
Wow,
Yeah.
you got that
Oh, my.
that drawing over here quickly.
Let's hide that.
It's crumpled up in my pocket.
All right.
It's my same. I have the commission of the wolf play drawn in both my offices.
It looks like fuzzy baby.
Yeah, it is. It is very.
It looks like he's got a werewolf
It
head.
is
It's
very
like
odd.
a
Yeah.
Definitely a baby with a unibrow that wants to tear apart a piece of paper. Got some baby hands going.
I'll have you know that's me at 6 years old.
Yeah.
Wow, Thaddeus, you look very majestic at that age.
Mm.
Your baby face still remains.
I mean,
Then-
I've seen worse looking children that just cannot remember when.
So that is be awaiting his scotch now.
Mm-hmm. Well, she brings the drinks in about 5 minutes. But the food's going to take a little longer because you know she's going to send out for it. She knows where you like your food from. There's probably a really good deli within a short distance that and she knows what you like.
Excellent. Mabel, about those requests I have of you.
Yes. She's got her little notepad and pencil ready to take notes.
And Thaddeus will hand her the business card. I need to know everything about this gentleman, where his business is at, and phone number and stuff.
The name on the back or Mr. Emerson?
The name on the back, and then you can give me Mr. Emerson's personal address. Personal phone number if the operator has it. And then I would like someone sent down to that Emerson Imports. I'd like to let him know who I am and that I'm waiting for my meeting.
Very good, sir. I'll have someone sent out soon.
Let it be known he's quite rude, so you might need to send one of special guys down there to be rude back and get the point across.
I think I take your meaning, sir.
Yes, yes. And then when you find out about the Mr. Silas, please rush back in here and let us know.
Of course, of course.
Thank you, Maple.
And she heads out after scribbling all that down and taking the business card.
And Thaddeus will pour himself a scotch and look to see if anybody else is joining them and drink.
Yeah, Natalia will take the vodka brought in.
Mm-hmm.
Benjamin grabs his tea and presents it to Thaddeus and indicates that he would like some scotch poured in it.
Not quite the teetotaler we thought, eh?
And Thaddeus will happily pour some in, maybe a little more than he wanted. Well, soon we shall have a way to figure out who this Silas is and what his connection is with our dear friend.
Yes, why do you not come in more often, Thaddeus? These people are enamored by you, especially this Mabel.
Well, as you know, after Peru, I quite lose myself in my hobbies. That and seems weird being here at times, I guess you could say. I mean,
Oh, go ahead.
oh, I've got good people though.
That is good, Thaddeus. Have you read anything about the death cult at all in your studies?
It's very limited resources. That's why me and Jackson, Mr. Jackson, were going back and forth, you know, and I was getting extra information from him of what some of the gaps were, but it seems that information is not the easiest to come by.
No, unfortunately, I think the only thing that I have read regarding it is his book. Even that I feel, especially in this folder, and she's holding it and carrying it with her very gently. I feel like something in here maybe that was edited down that would be more appropriate for the public. We can find out maybe exactly what he saw in those places.
Yeah, so maybe something will draw my memory of anything I came across. Darren, would I know more? How much would I know more, like, about the death calls and stuff? What do you think? Or would you want me to roll for
what
it?
you have studied in your time?
Yes.
You can certainly make an occult check, and since you have, you had a special interest in that due to Jonah, I'll give you a bonus die on that as well.
Alright.
Yeah, not quite. I mean, you know a lot of what Jackson told you. If you ask us, if you want to know something specific, I might, if it's reasonable, you might know something about it. But what specifically were you thinking about?
Well, I mean, my main focus it would be general. So I mean, at this time, like, I wouldn't have it like something pointed out to, like, oh, this is a connection type thing. So I just kind of was like hoping with like just overall general how much I knew.
Oh, okay.
So this is about what I would thought I would know. 'Cause like I said,
your knowledge has grown pretty rapidly. with it. So I mean, you have a 26 rating, so that means you have some idea. And when it comes to death cult information, I would generally give you a bonus die to kind of represent your special interest in that particular part of the occult.
Excellent. So yeah, so maybe at some later time that would come in handy.
Yep.
So yeah, so as I was saying, the death cults, I mean, information's hard, so I don't know exactly what our friend came across, and I haven't talked to him for quite some time.
You know that Jackson's thesis essentially is that these death cults are a much more common occurrence than most people want to believe. That they've been around since humans have organized themselves into societies, and they've just gotten better at hiding themselves from the modern world. But most cultures have some sort of aberrant sect of people that hold to these old destructive ways. And that's kind of what fascinated him, was because his idea is or what he always was wanting to understand is, what is it about that is so common? What is it? It seems to be something that humans are particularly susceptible to, being drawn into those, and it always fascinated him that people would kind of fall for that, or get such what's the state of mind that one would have to be in to believe all of that, and seek that as a way of life, as a path to power or virility or whatever it is that differentiates each individual death cult. But they all center on this idea of sacrifice of human beings for some sort of power or gain, whether it's spiritual power or cannibalism of devouring their soul, or learning their secrets, or just becoming stronger, whatever it is. Like, that always fascinated him.
Okay, excellent. So
Natalia keeps drinking, and she has the file in her hand, just kind of waiting to get back to the house to start pouring over it. I think Thaddeus, maybe we can pull our resources together. I can maybe look in the library or work and see if there's any other evidence. Maybe Benjamin, if you want to go through newspaper clippings. If these amateur expeditions, either people based out of New York or looking for people within New York, or to accompany them in the particular locations that Jonah mentions. There must be something that is drawing these people there. I have this feeling. It just seems too similar.
yes, I agree. I think that's a splendid idea.
And right at that moment, Mabel knocks on the door.
Do come in.
And she comes in with the lunch, and she said, "We had him do a rush order for you, Mr. Thaddeus." And she brings it over, and she says, "I hope you all like roast beef." And she puts down something for each of you, and she says she'll get you more iced tea, Mr. And she just kind of waits for you to.
Benjamin just smiles at her. Yes, it's Wagner. It's Wagner.
He says, well, Mr. Wagner, I'll get you some more. And anything else, Mr. Pepin?
Not at the moment. And he looks around and he says, but yes, but feel free to interrupt when you get the information on this, Mr. Silas.
Of course, of course. I have people working on it right now. And
Excellent.
and she excuses herself.
This is very good roast beef here. The deli is an excellent. I do believe you guys will enjoy it if you have not had it before.
Thank you, Thaddeus, as always.
And Benjamin has already begun eating his food, and he just mumbles,
Yeah, Tali's very polite with her eating, unlike Benjamin.
More refined, is she?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, yep, you all have a lunch. And by the time you finish, Mabel still has not returned with any information.
I wouldn't think that he'd be this hard of a person to find.
I wouldn't either. Maybe he did not have enough information to go off with.
It's possible.
Talia kind of puts the folder down and she opens it and starts going through some of the pages.
Yeah, there's a lot in there. The vast majority, and I don't have it. The vast majority is nothing I can show you. It's just most of it is scribbled notes. Some of it's very old. Just ideas he's had, research from other books that he's written. None of it really catches your eye, of the vast majority of it, but you're going through. It doesn't take you long though to find the two handwritten bits that you saw, because they're on smaller paper, that Jonah was about to pull out and then changed his mind. And so I can definitely show you those. Let's see. Here, oh, I'm sorry, there's actually more than that. There's yeah. Oh, give me a quick library use skill first.
Okay.
Because I see, you're going through. I assume you kind of thumb through quickly to see if there's anything of particular interest. Yeah. So there's definitely lots of things to look through, but you do find the two things. It's actually, I'm sorry, I thought it was 2 pages. It's really just a front and back. It's a 2-sheet thing, so I'll show you the front page and the back page. So there's the front, and there is the back.
And she starts reading it over. After she reads it, she's going to pass it to Benjamin first.
Benjamin begins to look at up and down. The symbol appears to be on the back page. That symbol that you drew for us, it's the house.
It is on the back page.
Hmm.
Oh.
And the front page for me, apparently, the picture is broken.
Oh.
It's broken? What do you mean? Like you can't see the image at all?
Yeah, it might just be me. Hang on a second.
Try closing it and opening it up again. It should be now in your New York Documents folder.
It's working now.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Black King. Who is this? Stop them.
And incidentally, not that I think you had any doubt, Natalia, but you definitely recognize this as Elias's handwriting.
Mm-hmm. The books are in Carlisle's safe. Hmm. Seems they are. Everywhere. Immigrants. Chinatown, Harlem. I knew this was bigger.
Yes. This does seem to echo much of what we saw back in Peru. Just in terms of the writing and the writing styles.
Oh. Yes, the writing style's changed indeed. No quitters now. Far too late for that. Should have quit long ago. Fool's crusade. Shine the light into the dark. Should I scream for them? Let's scream together. But what is this writing? It's crossed out. So just like pointing to the back page. After all of them, it looks. We might need this. I might need to go to. Maybe compare it with some linguistics. See if we can maybe decipher what kind of language it might be. It'd be visible enough to see the letters.
And for the sake of identifying patterns, I also have the pictures of some of those letters from back in Peru. It might be worthwhile to put them side by side
Yes.
And so we have much work to do.
We do. Crazy. Why is these things circling? Hotel Metropole, Richard Palace, London. This must be where he got the one.
New foundation.
Yes, yes.
Indeed.
Maybe telegrams, Hotel Metropole, London. I don't know if there's a chance we could even call them. Maybe not. Don't cut her like a fish.
No, there are no transatlantic phone lines at this point.
Darn. Damn it, passed.
You can
And
you
that's how
can
he's just
you can
pouring over this
telegram, you
note.
can telegram, but you're not gonna have phone calls.
Yeah, Natalia's just poring over these notes, just trying to figure out exactly what it all means. Why there's different handwriting. What's this drawing?
There appears to be so much going on in these letters. There's a little bit. They jump around somewhat.
Because I think we're gonna need more time to sit down and really go over this. These circles, this chess match kind of looks like symbol that was carved on his head. Jim takes a deep breath after that. There's just so much going on. So much crossed out. There's something, I think, the one thing that concerns me deeply is as if that would stop them. And he crossed it out and said whoever. It's almost as if he knew, but he didn't want to acknowledge it, didn't want to put it in a letter. I'm not sure.
Well, I think that the more information that we turn up and as we discover more on all of this, maybe we'll be able to have some context for some of what is actually in these letters.
I hope so. I will say with this investigation, it is a welcome distraction.
Yes. At the very least.
This just reminds me so much of all the things that I tried to leave behind. But there is a certain thrill of getting back into all of this. Not that this is the most thrilling matter, and to investigate, but this is something that I feel we most definitely should be a part of, and definitely get deeper.
And I wonder what's taken Mabel so long.
Perhaps if I start lighting fires under people's bottoms here, we can move along faster. Maybe. And with that, Thaddeus will stand up and walk to his door and open it. Mabel.
Mabel notices you right away, and she jumps up from her chair and she says, "Yes, Mr. Pepin."
Who do you got working on finding this fellow for me?
I've got Johnson, Jenkins, and Hendrickson.
Any idea what could be taking him so long?
And she says, I don't know. I asked them right after I dropped the food off, and they just said they were having a dickens of a time finding anyone by that name.
Okay. And I'll come back in. Apparently the man is harder to find than we thought.
Maybe we should go back to the estates. I don't know if waiting around here would be good.
Yes, I think the estate is a good idea, and perhaps from the estate I may be able to call on some of my personal contacts. I might have somebody who has heard of this person, this silent.
That is a good idea.
Yes. Well, should we adjourn then?
Yes. And she'll finish the rest of her vodka, shooting it back before putting the cup on the table.
All right.
Thaddeus will walk out to address Mabel real quick before he goes. Mabel, how did the meeting setup go with Mr. Emerson?
Well, I sent someone down there right away, sir. I would expect it's going to take an hour at least before he's back.
Okay. Will you send me word? I'll be at the estate. I believe you know how to reach me.
Of course, of course. I'll send word to you right away, sir.
Thank you. Until the next time, Mabel. You have a wonderful day.
She says, I hope it's not too long till the next time, sir. It was a rare pleasure to see you.
Yes, I had to get back in the habit of coming back in.
She said,
He'll
I
sigh.
think everyone would benefit from that, sir.
I'm sure they will. Yeah, they'll start
And
walking.
yeah, and she kind of proudly walks you back to the entrance. Yeah, so you she takes you to the entrance, and she says to the other two of you, it was a pleasure to meet you. I hope you enjoyed your afternoon, and
You as well, Mabel. And
Yes,
Talia
it
will
was.
touch a hand.
It was most certainly a pleasure on my end as well. And Benjamin gives a polite nod.
yeah, she doesn't expect a handshake or anything. Obviously, she's just kind of holding the door.
Again, thank you, Mabel. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Well, it won't be as enjoyable as it has been so far, sir, in your absence. And she just kind of smiles and watches you go.
Well, I guess we should go to the estate and
No, you wouldn't, Benjamin.
perhaps,
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
and then perhaps maybe we can arrange the meeting and use some of Benjamin's contacts. See what they know.
I do hope so.
All right.
I must speak to him.
So it sounds like you're maybe going to split up a little bit at this point, and Benjamin's going to go hunt down some of his more close to the street people and ask about this Silas guy. Is that correct?
Yes, and I think he would also hit the library up as well and sift through newspaper clippings and everything like that after talking to whomever.
Looking for what specifically? Are you looking for the Carlisle expedition in specific?
As far as in the newspapers,
Yes.
I think that would be at least a good place to start, and
Okay.
then follow that down the rabbit.
Right. Okay. It sounds like you have to go. Do we all want to just wrap up here, or if you're splitting up, we could actually continue without Benjamin, and I can deal with what he finds, because I can kind of compact that. It's up to you guys.
I think Natalia was mostly just going to kind of pour over the notes again, try and
Okay.
decipher it, go through kind of Jackson's other book, comparing, and then
Okay. Sounds good.
Oh yeah. Before I take off fully, Benjamin will also have given over any of the photos that would have any of the writings and book and everything like that from Peru. He'd get all that to Natalia as well.
Okay. All right. So before you go, why don't I get a quick library use roll from Benjamin? Okay, not so good. All right. So feel free to take off. The other two of you, if you want to continue a little bit, we can. We can kind of summarize what you find for the rest of the afternoon. It shouldn't take very long.
yeah, I know. Most likely out of game, I'm gonna pour over the note.
Oh yeah, I'd expect so.
Yeah.
But you may find more in there if you want before we wrap up. So that may give you more to pour over if you want. And Thaddeus, you do get a message late in the afternoon back at your estate. I assume that's where you two are dropping Benjamin off and then going back to your estate, I trust, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So back home, late in the day, you get a message from Mabel from the office that the three men have exhausted their search and they cannot find anybody by that name, but they haven't given up. They're going to start asking, they're going to start using other means to try to find who this is. But he's certainly no known businessman or anything in the New York area. Right. I mean, they're not the police. They don't, but their contacts, they're asking around, they're looking through things. They can't find out who this guy is. So he's obviously nobody of importance in the business world.
That works.
So it may take them a little while. And if you're willing to put money behind this as well, you know that you can, if need be, they'll hire a private investigator to find this out. I mean, they'll, it's all just, you have the money and the means. So if you want to find out who this guy is, they're willing to, in fact, they said, they're asking, do you want us to hire a private investigator?
Well, seeing that, money is no object to Thaddeus, he'll actually come up with a reply back of, yes, the best one we could find, maybe some Pinkertons.
Okay. And you can, the best part is you can write it off as a business expense since it will be treated as, a business, relevant to business, of course. Okay. So that will be handled. And let's see. So Natalia, why don't you give me another library use roll as you now pour through this stuff, and I'll give you a bonus die because it's not that tough. You're dealing with a finite amount of things. Oh goodness, yeah. You find this. You sort the wheat from the chaff pretty quickly. So, I mean, you personally would find it, there's a certain, I don't know if it's pleasurable or sad to read a lot of his stuff, but
it's bittersweet.
Yeah,
almost.
there's a lot of stuff that really doesn't have any relevance, I can tell you. But it's, it would be a personal interest to you. But the thing that does stand out as relevant is it's clear that Jackson had been sending information to Jonah, and he may even forgotten that he was writing all this stuff down. Because that Jonah has been getting a little forgetful in his old age. And so here are actually quite a set of notes, apparently from correspondence that he has had in the past year with Elias.
Yeah, it's a bit, I guess, in a way painful too. Like kind of reading this that he had time to message Jonah,
yes.
but he never bothered messaging her.
There is definitely that. It's it's like,
there's a
what
bit
the
of
hell?
it's a little bit of like trying not to be angry because he's dead, but at the same time, I can't help but feel a bit hurt. But she goes over it anyway, and even employing kind of Thaddeus, especially with kind of his increased interest in the occult. I'm just trying to include them. Like, okay, yeah, look over these here. Maybe sort these. Trying to find anything to do with these cults, you know.
Yeah, and you know Kenneth Newton is one of the junior editors at Prospero House. He's the one that apparently typed this up.
Hmm.
Oh.
Guess she just spends pretty much the rest of the
Yeah.
night
There's a
just going over this.
and
Lots
just to
of
be clear,
information.
this is not a summary of what you're reading. This is actually the typed up document that is clearly a summary of the things that Jackson sent. So, like on the first set one, that was 4 pages of stuff, and this is Kenneth Newton's summary for Jonah of the contents of those notes. So there were many pages. You know, if you total it all up, it's something like almost 50 pages of stuff. And unfortunately, those 50 pages are not present. Fortunately or unfortunately. If you want to read 50 pages.
She will.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of frowning the whole time she's going through it. These black winds. What is this? High priest is part of the mountain, the black wind. Seems like there's a common theme of what is it? Tribesmen or locals thinking things are cursed.
But as we know from Peru, that's when the tribesmen think something is cursed, it probably is cursed.
Yeah, definitely keep note of that. They seem to know a lot more than we give them. His failure to elaborate renders this section all but useless. What does this mean? Cairo portion of the Carlisle expedition itinerary suggests Kenya activities only make sense when understood through Egypt. Oh. Impetus for Carlisle's Kenyan side trip is on the Nile. Of course, she's sliding over the pages for Thaddeus to look over as well. Do you see anything, maybe?
Right now, just names. Names of people that might know more.
Yes.
The bloody tongue.
Sounds ominous.
An unknown deity.
Goes sheet description of a conversation with Nails Nelson at the Victoria Bar in Nairobi. Says he saw Jack Brady alive, and Jack Brady, that is the one that he was after around 1922. Brady and the rest of the expedition dead. Certain it was Jack Brady. Nelson claims he was friendly but not eager to say too much. Carl expedition is probably alive, at least its principal members.
And then Jack Brady being alive in Hong Kong would definitely explain possibly the matches.
Yes, and the picture of the Asian ships must be Chinese then?
Quite possible.
I'm going to... I think we need to find this Silas. Question him on... What is it? These artifacts maybe he's pulling up. Maybe Jackson wanted to visit with him. Something maybe the Carlisle expedition sent over to him. Something he's collected. Maybe it has to do with the pyramid.
Yeah.
There's something inside.
Well, he was a... Mr. Emerson did say he was a collector of African trinkets. Maybe perhaps it had something to do with Bloody Tongue. Or their unknown deity.
Yes. And the... What was it? I do hope that it is not the same as Mendoza.
Oh, most definitely. That was a troubling matter.
But just an opportunity when you said Mendoza. I should have done this. Not spooked Mendoza.
Zoom in on the eyes. But luckily, I think Jackson would be able to recognize the...
I'm just saying. We didn't recognize the signs. I'm not sure how anyone would.
Well, seeing is believing.
I wish I had not.
Well, it's forever ingrained in my memory. Especially... that one thing.
Yes. The
unknown thing I saw.
What exactly was it?
This is unspeakable. Still gives me the shudders.
Unspeakable. Can you describe it, or?
It's massive. And there, correct me if I'm wrong, it's tentacles, correct? That thing I saw on the pyramid.
It was a blur to you. It was like a mass of kind of bulbous, fetid green. It almost looked half plant, half animal. It could have had tentacles. You're not sure. It certainly had eyes, multiple eyes, kind of unblinking and looking at you as you looked in. That's what you focused on, because that's what terrified you most. The rest, it's your mind kind of plays tricks on you, and you remember it slightly differently when you think about it each time. You're not, what did it have tentacles? Was it moving, or did it just appear to be moving? It seemed like it was coming at you, but then when you think about it, maybe it just terrified you and you felt like it was coming at you. You're not sure. You didn't look at it that long.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't go in that much detail telling him. I just... It's big eyes. Like a plant.
Mhm.
Lots of eyes.
And what happened to Larkin after? I just remember I couldn't hold on any longer after that.
Yes, huh? Surprised we all were able to maintain some type of sanity after that.
Oh,
Makes me think twice before visiting pyramids again, I'll tell you that much.
yes, I definitely don't want to do any visiting. And Nazai will look at the time.
Yeah, by this time I'd say it's late in the evening.
Thaddeus, maybe we should reconvene with Benjamin when he comes back. See what he's learned. We can let him know about the information here, yes? I will think over all
Yes.
this. Natalia gets up. She heads back to her guest room.
Okay.
Thaddeus, we'll just keep staring at these documents that are, if they're still there.
Mhm. All right. That sounds like a good curtain.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I'm not sure if Benjamin will come back that night. If he's kind of busy, he may just take a cab back to his own apartment, because your estate's quite a bit far outside the main downtown part of the city. So, but in any case, I'm sure he will be there in the morning, if nothing else. So I will reconvene.